In the fast-moving world of electric mountain bikes, do we need automatic suspension? How does it work, and is it going to make you faster? Riders, welcome back to Sam's Bikes, where you know we only talk e-bikes, and today we are looking at the 1-year test on Fox Live Valve 1.5 on the sensational giant Trance E+0. So what is automatic suspension? Well, in a nutshell, it's basically opening and closing your compression automatically, so you don't have a climb switch. And Fox were first to the party in 2018 with Fox Live Valve, and then followed suit with RockShox with Flight Attendant. And what we've been testing here is the updated Fox Live Valve 1.5. So how does this magic work? Well, Fox Live Valve is made up of a controller here and a front and rear bump sensor. The controller reacts to uphill, downhill, and flat terrain, and the bump sensors are reading G-forces. So when you hit a bump, the bump sensor is tripped, which sends a signal to the controller, which opens up the compression. And also, it depends on if you're going uphill, downhill, or on the flat, for how long the compression is open for. And riders, get this, it does that in 3 milliseconds. And I hear you riders saying, hey Sam, what happens if it's too sensitive or not sensitive enough? Well, it's absolutely no problem. You download the Fox Live app, and inside that app, we have 5 custom settings. We've got climb, firm, sports, comfort, and open. And inside each of these settings, you can actually play with the bump sensitivity from 1 to 5. So it's really convenient. So there you go, riders. That's all the information on Fox Live Valve. But more importantly, what have I thought about it over the last year, riding the giant Trance E+0? I'm going to say, riders, first off, I didn't feel it would be necessary to have automatic suspension on a trail bike, 150, 140. But riders, I was wrong. I will definitely eat my words. This bike is so much fun. It's so dynamic with the automatic suspension. It's an amazing climber because when it locks out the suspension, your BB's high and it just climbs over anything. And also, like, the fact that you don't have to lock out your suspension, I thought, you know, it wouldn't be a big deal. But for me, I go out for a trail ride for like 2 hours with music on. I know I probably shouldn't, but I absolutely love this. I don't need to think about anything. The bike is doing everything. One thing I do want to mention is the first couple of weeks on this bike, I found it hard to get my balance right because the compression was changing without me knowing it. Like when I push in or try manual or pop off something, it took me a while to understand where the balance and where the compression was. But after a couple of weeks, I definitely got used to it. And a question that I get a lot of the time from the riders is, do I have confidence smashing into a rock garden? Does it open up fast enough? Well, as I said, riders, it's 3 milliseconds. It is amazingly fast. First couple of times I did it, I was a little bit nervous, was a little bit skeptical, but no, it definitely opens fast enough. And I don't even think about it now, it just does it. So now let's talk about what I like about Fox Live, what I don't really like about Fox Live, and what I think could improve. So first off, the things I like, this bike paired with Fox Live Valve is an absolute mountain goat. It can climb anything. The suspension locks out, obviously, the BB comes higher, super stiff, and you can just go up anything. Love that. And then when you get to the top of the climb, you don't forget to unlock your suspension. You know, back in the day with manual suspension, you had to close your climb switch, climb up, and then open it. And riders, tell me, how many times have you forgotten to open up the climb switch and you've ruined the downhill? So that never happens. And also another thing I absolutely love about Live Valve is over the summer, I set the Trance up as a bit of a gravel bike and went riding with Jorge. And what I did is I changed the tires, put like Schwalbe Wicked Wheel tires on there, and put the Live Valve in the firm setting. And this bike was absolutely awesome. It kind of transformed it into almost a gravel bike. Now this is a smaller thing. You know, I love to geek out about range, but because the suspension is opening and closing, it's actually making the bike climb more efficiently and it uses less of the battery. With all the bells and whistles, this bike is coming in at 8,500 euros. Automatic suspension, carbon, everything. So I like the value of especially this bike with Live Valve. And the last point is a little bit of what I like and what I don't like. I love that the whole system is powered off the main battery. so you don't have to charge other batteries. So I love that, but I don't really love the spaghetti cables at the front. The cable management could be better done. And also, I'd love to see Fox use the grip tube dampener. At the moment, they're using the Fit 4 in live valve, which is a good dampener, but I personally prefer the grip 2. It's just a little bit more plusher. And the last thing really isn't a negative, but riders, you know, I do push these bikes pretty hard. I did go down pretty hard on the Trance about 6 months ago, and I did break the front bump sensor. Now, it was a very quick fix. Like, I think it took me about a week to wait and order the part from Fox, and it was about a 30-second repair. But you know, it does have a cost, and it does open you up to more things breaking on your bike. So if Fox came to me and said, hey Sam, how would you make live valve better? Well, first of all, I'd say definitely put a grip 2 dampener in there. Also try and tidy up the cable management here, but I don't want standalone batteries. I really like that it's charged through the main battery. And also something that I would really like to see, and I think it'd be more for the downhill racers and the enduro racers, I'd love to see a manual override button on your handlebars, so open and close. Now, I think this would be great, and we've seen like some of the downhillers, like Aaron Gwynn had a manual lockout a couple of years ago on his race bike. And I think it would be awesome, because if you were racing and you came into a jump section and you could lock it out, because if the BMXers out there would know, when you lock out suspension, you jump way smoother and you can get the backside and you can pump through the jumps. And also on the flat, when you put the power down, you could definitely be fully locked out. So I'd love to see a manual switch on the automatic suspension, which is a bit, you know, backwards, but that's what I'd like to see. Okay, so who is live valve for? Well, first off, I think it's good for anyone that wants to set their suspension and forget it and know they're in the optimal suspension setting for climbing, for on the flat, and for going downhill. And also for someone that does loads of different style of riding. You know, went out with Jorge on the gravel bike, different setting for that. Cross country, different setting for that. And enduro, different setting for that. And also, I reckon this bike, I've been thinking about it, could be perfect for someone that wanted to commute to work. You could have a spare set of wheels with some Schwalbe slick tires on it. Have those wheels, put it in a firm setting for when you go to work, obviously have a safe lockup, then change the wheels and tires, change the suspension settings for the weekend, and go out and do your trail riding. So there you go, riders. I hope you enjoyed my 1 year look at Fox Live Valve. And like always, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I love to help. And you know it, riders, if you haven't subscribed to Sam's Bikes, please do. Share it with like-minded people, and we're going to see you next week.